This episode is brought to you by
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Wake and Take. It's your boy Jason, and we've got some football to talk about today. Today, we are going to be taking a look at Week 17. We're going to go over the practice reports from the week. We are also going to be making game picks and talking about Thursday Night Football as well. We're going to save the starts and sits for tomorrow. I'm going to do a full starts and sit show tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Otherwise, we're just going to take a look at the game, so it's going to be fun. Go ahead and take out your coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And as always, good morning to everyone who has tuned in. Alex, happy to see you in the chat. If you're listening on the podcast as well, thank you for listening. You guys can find the podcast via the link in the description. Good morning to you as well, Louie. I hope you all had a very Merry Christmas and enjoyed the day with your friends, family, yourself, work, whatever you did. Just hope you had a great day, and I hope that you're ready to get back to the grind today, December 26th. I know I'm not. I woke up and was like, damn, back to the grind. That's such a good day yesterday, but it's also good to talk football. Always great to talk football. Shout out to you, Chuka. Thanks for tuning in. Let's go ahead and get right on into it. And I guess the best way to get on into it is talk about yesterday's games. We had two football games yesterday, which I thought were going to be a lot more exciting than they ended up being. But certainly football was had thanks to Netflix somehow. So the first game, of course, was the Chiefs-Steelers game. The Chiefs end up winning 29-10 and locked down that number one seed. We did get great performances by Travis Kelce and Xavier Worthy, which was really nice to see for the fantasy championships. Some disappointment from George Pickens in his return. He still did have 3 receptions for 50 yards, but you know, you're kind of hoping for a touchdown or maybe at least one more big chunk play if you were relying on him. So disappointment there. Pat Freiermuth at least kind of kept it going in PPR league, 7 receptions for 60 yards. Jaylen Warren, Najee Harris were fine. Russell Wilson, not good. At least got a rushing touchdown, but not a good game from him yesterday. Really, the big story was Patrick Mahomes had been hiding this all year. Patrick Mahomes finishes the day with 320 yards and 3 touchdowns, 12 rushing yards. Again, Travis Kelce, Xavier Worthy had great games. Even Justin Watson found the end zone. Hollywood Brown heavily involved again. And Patrick Mahomes hiding this all year, just waits until Christmas to deliver a 30-burger. So far, the QB1 on the week. I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes at least top 5 on the week. Really great to see from him for honestly, it's funny because I'm sure a lot of teams that had Patrick Mahomes didn't even make it to the championship. But those that did are excited because he finally ended up with a good game. I really just can't believe it. I just can't believe it. Otherwise, there's still some concerns around Isaiah Pacheco. I'm sure he'll be fine in Dynasty still, but this is now, every single week since he's been back at the very least 50% share with Kareem Hunt. But over the last few, Kareem Hunt has looked better than Isaiah Pacheco. Out-touches him here and finds the end zone. So, not that anyone was starting Isaiah Pacheco, but still disappointment from him. I would say if you could buy him in Dynasty, I would do it. I think it makes sense for him to be slow coming back from the injury that he sustained. Hopefully he does bounce back next year and look like the Isaiah Pacheco of old. Hopefully the Chiefs don't invest in any capital at the running back position, but they really might. So I don't know. If you can get Isaiah Pacheco decently well at a good price, I would recommend it. But otherwise, I don't know. It is possible the Chiefs add a running back in the draft as they are they're the best team in the NFL. Generally, those teams add running backs at some point. But either way, I still think he's probably a dynasty buy because I love the talent that Isaiah Pacheco is. Just a very, very disappointing end of the season for him. But shout out to the Chiefs for locking down that number 1 seed. I'm very curious to see who will go into Kansas City and upset them. Probably the Bills. Hopefully the Bills. I think that'd be pretty exciting. But either way, congratulations to them as they lock it down on Christmas. Patrick Mahomes will have the week off, the next 2 weeks off. To rest his ankle and get back to full health. The other game, perhaps the most disappointing game of the season. The awful football game. Just horrible. I know a lot of people maybe enjoyed it if you're a Ravens fan, but the Ravens took on the Houston Texans in Houston, and they beat the Texans 31-2. 31-2. I started Kaimi Fairbairn in a league. Was a top kicker all season. Doesn't even attempt an extra point. Doesn't even take a field goal. CJ Stroud, 185 yards, no touchdowns, and 1 interception against one of the worst secondaries in the league. Nico Collins in a game with no Stephon Diggs or Tank Dell gets less receptions than John Mechie and only finishes the day with 6 targets and 59 receiving yards. Joe Mixon, only 26 rush yards and only 2 receptions. Just a horrible day from the Houston Texans, and I don't know why. To be honest, I mean, if you tuned into yesterday's Christmas episode, I was excited about this game. I thought this would go over. I thought that it would be a pretty decent shootout. I'd put Nico Collins and CJ Stroud as my DFS lineup guys. I felt that they would, have a really good game. It only made sense. It's a really bad secondary, and Nico Collins is the only wide receiver there. But no, total disappointment from the Houston Texans. All they get is a safety, and they just let Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson run wild. 147 rush yards and a touchdown for Derrick Henry, 87 rush yards and a touchdown for Lamar Jackson, on top of 168 pass yards and 2 passing touchdowns. Incredible work by those two. And that's really all it was. I mentioned that I'm not really comfortable starting any Ravens players outside of Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. It's a tough matchup for Mark Andrews, but even he took his 2 receptions for 68 yards and a touchdown. Zay Flowers was able to get at least a couple receptions, but only 31 yards. Isaiah Likely found the end zone, but it was all done on the ground in this game. And the Ravens really did just have their way. Derrick Henry delivering a Christmas present. Lamar Jackson delivering a gift. Great performances by them. Shout out the Ravens. Shame on the Texans. I can't believe they're a playoff team. I really have no idea how they're a playoff team at this point. They look awful. They should have done something. I'm aghast. I just had no idea how Nico Collins only had 3 receptions for 59 yards. So disappointing. Was relying on him in my Guillotine League, the championship for my Guillotine League, and I was relying on Nico Collins. I thought I'd have a monster performance, and we got nothing. Just nothing. God, awful game. But good for the Ravens. Shout out Lamar. Shout out Derrick Henry. And that's it for the Christmas reactions. So before we keep going, I do want to let you guys know just a little bit about what's going on at Fast Draft.
Oh, incredible news about Fast Draft. Fast Draft DFS is live. It's called the Flex 6 Frenzy. You just draft 6 guys, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends for the Sunday slate. You like Jahmyr Gibbs? You like Jackson Smith and Jigba? You like Tyrone Tracy? Draft him. And the beauty is you can just order 5 teams, submit your rankings, and Fast Draft will email you the results. We awarded $1,000 in prizes our first week, and we're just going up from there. Soon there's going to be a select 6. No drafting at all. You just pick any 6 guys. Our DFS mantra, just say no to salaries on Fast Draft. Don't forget there's free tools on Fast Draft too. You want to get ready for startup season? We've created the best Dynasty mock draft experience there is. And if you want to play in these DFS contests, and our best ball contest for 2025 are coming very soon too, just use promo code PODFATHER when you deposit and you get a free draft. It's that easy. And you're like, oh, I already have Fast Draft. Great. Refer a friend. Have them put your username in as the promo code, and then you and your friend will both get an instant deposit match up to $25. We got DFS. We got Dynasty Mocks. We got Best Ball. It's all there for you on fastdraft.app. Check it out. And the promo code is PODFATHER.
Use that promo code PODFATHER. You could also use promo code FAST for a free draft with a deposit of $5, or you can use promo code Jason for a first deposit match up to $25. So if you put in 25, you'll get 25. You put in 10, you'll get 10. Good stuff going on at Fast Draft. Highly recommend the DFS tournaments. They're a ton of fun and fast. Cool. We've got injury updates. That's the big reason you guys turn into these preview episodes. It's so important to keep your eye on the practice reports and see who is expected to play or not play this week, especially the Fantasy Championship week. So again, here's what we do. We just go team by team, talk about their practice reports, and give my expertise on if I think they'll play or not based on what I know. Classic. Hold on. Let me get my camera back on. They've got to make this USB a little bit better. It just doesn't stick in well. If I barely touch the cable, it comes out, in case you're ever wondering why this happens almost every episode. Okay. Oh, now I'm lagging. Hold on. Be right back. All right, I am back. We've got some injury updates. The Arizona Cardinals. Fun fact, Trey Benson and James Conner actually picked up limited practices, so it looks like we will get James Conner again. Or not again, we will get James Conner to play. It seems that his knee injury was not as serious as we were concerned, and he does not look like he will be missing any games, which means that more than likely Trey Benson, Michael Carter, those little flyers, not really worth it. Doesn't seem that you're going to be able to rely on them this week at all. But it is cool to see Trey Benson may at least come back and play in backup capacity in case James Conner does re-injure himself in the game. Maybe Trey Benson will become something. But otherwise, James Conner looking like he will play and someone that you can start this week. On the Falcons, Drake London, his hamstring injury. As we talked about on Monday, it was already expected that he would have been able to return to the game if he needed to. He just didn't need to. So he is actually limited this week. He has been practicing through his hamstring injury. So it does seem that that report was true and that Drake London will be out there this week. Just maybe not 100%. Maybe not someone you actually want to start this week if you have some better options. Maybe just go with another wide receiver on your bench or something that has a similar. But it is a good game. Like, I don't know. I'm not going to recommend benching Drake London unless you've got a really, really nice other option because I do like the matchup. The Ravens played yesterday, so we're not too worried. On the Bills, no one too crazy we're worried about. On the Panthers, no one too crazy we're worried about. On the Bears, no one too crazy we're worried about. On the Bengals, Joe Burrow is still limited with his wrist injury, but as we know, he's just going to play through that. T. Higgins was also limited on Tuesday due to ankle and knee injuries. He's listed as questionable and should probably be good. Again, if we see limited injury or limited practices, that's all we can really ask for. So T. Higgins seems to be good. Joe Burrow seems to be good. And then I got to say, it seems like I'm lagging still. I don't know what happened. So let me know if it looks a little bit better on your guys' end than it does mine. If I'm still lagging, I'll try to fix it after we go through these. Jerry Jeudy, limited on Wednesday, so he's good. Cedric Tillman, limited with his concussion. We do know that Cedric Tillman was expected to play last week and then didn't. We might see that again. I'm not really sure, but he is limited. I mean, they could play him if they wanted to. To me, it does seem like the Browns don't care about playing anyone, especially since they are starting DTR again. DTR himself listed as limited with a calf injury, but again, should be good to go. He's expected to start. And David Njoku did not practice on Wednesday, but he didn't practice much last week and was still able to play. So I wouldn't read too much into it. Definitely, if you have David Njoku, start having a contingency option just in case. We've been talking about Chigakonkwo, for example. He's widely available in leagues and has a decent matchup and has been on fire the last couple weeks. But otherwise, while he hasn't practiced, I do kind of expect David Njoku to be out there playing. On the Cowboys, Jalen Brooks is not practicing on Thursday with his knee injury, so it does seem that there will be no Jalen Brooks this week. Jalen Tolbert was limited, though, so it seems that Jalen Tolbert will return and be good to go this week. CeeDee Lamb didn't practice, but we're not worried about that. That's kind of a Christmas veteran rest type situation. He's been battling the shoulder injury the last few weeks and been playing through it. So CeeDee Lamb should be out there this week. Don't really worry too much about it. Especially since they're taking on the Eagles. They would love to play spoiler. The Lions. David Montgomery still listed as out, but again, did miss IR, so that injury isn't too bad. Christian Watson with his knee is not practicing this week. Does seem that there will be no Christian Watson this week. And does seem that this guy really is just injury prone. This has been like the fourth injury this year. I know none have been major. Like it's always been like 1 week or just kind of limited in the game type situations for Christian Watson this year. But yeah. Maybe the hamstring was fixed, but there are now other issues for this guy every single week, it seems. And Christian Watson, as much as we love him, just really, I don't know if he's ever going to get it together. Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgrave were both limited, so it seems we might have the 2 tight end set return to Green Bay this week. You could probably move. You're not starting Tucker Kraft. Don't start Tucker Kraft. We've been talking about not starting Tucker Kraft all season. We've been naming him as a sell all season. But now definitely don't start him up this week. You're basically always hoping for a touchdown with him, and you just don't want that. In Indianapolis, Anthony Richardson did not practice on Wednesday, but again, that was Christmas. We're not too worried about it for a player like A-Rich. If he doesn't practice the next couple days, I think we could start to send some alarms, but Anthony Richardson should be good to go. Sometimes quarterbacks just don't practice. Alec Pierce does look like he will be clearing concussion protocol. Did have a full practice on Wednesday. So that is good news. The Colts passing attack will be at full strength. On Jacksonville, Brenton Strange was limited with his shoulder injury, but should be good to go and continue to be a decent option in lieu of Evan Ingram. Las Vegas, nothing too crazy here. Still just kind of the Amir Abdullah show. Chargers, Will Dissly and Hayden Hurst was limited. J.K. Dobbins also limited. In fact, his practice window was open, so we might see J.K. Dobbins return this week, which could be crazy. They need him back. This running attack has suffered without him. I don't know why they kept leaning on Gus Edwards. They should have just pulled the plug on him and just used Kamani Vidal. But either way, J.K. Dobbins might be returning this week, which could be huge news for the Chargers in general, as he really did help elevate that offense all year. No one too crazy for the Rams. In Miami, Jalen Waddle is still not practicing, so it seems that we may not get Jalen Waddle. But also, again, keep in mind that Wednesday was Christmas, so it's possible that's why he didn't practice. But keep your eye on it today, tomorrow, Saturday. If he's still not practicing, it looks like you can maybe kind of flex Malik Washington again in your deeper leagues, and they'll rely on Devon Achane in particular. Tyreek Hill limited, but should be good to go. And Tua Tagovailoa also limited, but still should be good to go. For the Vikings, no one we're really concerned about here. In New England, kind of same thing, nothing too crazy. For the Saints, Bub Means officially staying on IR for the rest of the season. Rest of the season, no Bub Means. Even with the limited practices the last few weeks, he's not returning. Chris Olave, however, was a full participant on Wednesday and may actually return this week, which could be crazy. I think that is really poor practice by the Saints to utilize Chris Olave coming off like his fourth concussion in a season that's completely lost. But to each their own, I guess. Derek Carr and Alvin Kamara, both not practicing, will probably be out this week. So look for more Spencer Rattler, Kendre Miller, and I guess Chris Olave this week. For the Giants, Drew Lock limited, but fine. Tyrone Tracy not practicing. So definitely monitor that. This is an ankle injury for him. If he's not practicing, we might actually get a Devin Singletary smash week, which could be hilarious. And then Malik Neighbors did not practice on Wednesday due to a toe injury. So definitely monitor that. We may not. I would almost recommend, if you have some other options, maybe benching Malik Neighbors this week, because it's just he's getting the volume, but not really much of a ceiling. And if he's going to be battling through a toe injury, I don't know about it. That kind of concerns me for the championship. But definitely keep your eye on it. Again, both Tyrone Tracy and Malik Neighbors didn't practice on Wednesday, which was Christmas. So it may not be that big of a deal. Keep your eye on it today, tomorrow, all that stuff. But either way, definitely something to monitor. Keep your eye on, as it may be Devin Singletary and like Wan'Dale Robinson week in the championship. Devontae Adams was probably a veteran rest day as well. He did not practice yesterday due to a hip injury, but I wouldn't get too concerned about it. Dude's been balling. I think he'll be back out there this week, but keep your eye on it for sure. In Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts still not practicing through his concussion. I think that Jalen Hurts is not going to play this week. So Saquon Barkley should smash. If you want to use him for your fast draft, I highly recommend that. But Jalen Hurts not looking like he will be able to play. And Kenny Pickett does. Kenny Pickett did practice limited on Wednesday. Looks to be good through his ribs injury. The 49ers, Isaac Orendo is expected to practice and play this week, so he should return. Just the 49ers offense kind of sucks now, so there's not much excitement there. The Seahawks, Kenneth Walker officially out for tonight's game, so definitely fire up Zach Charbonnet. We'll talk about it in a little bit. For the Buccaneers, Sterling Shepard did not practice, and neither did Cade Otton, so it looks like we may get another Jalen McMillan week on top of Bucky Irving, Rachaad White catching a decent bit of passes, especially if there is no Shepard or Otton this week. The Titans, Tony Pollard did not practice, so keep your eye on Tyjae Spears for sure. And neither did Tyler Boyd, so maybe just Nick Westbrook-Akine, if anything. But looks like, again, Chigakonkwo seems to be a fun little flex play this week. Or not flex play, stream play for your tight end position. And then on the Commanders, Terry McLaurin not practicing on Wednesday due to an ankle injury. But again, probably nothing too crazy given it was Christmas. But definitely keep your eye on it. This is a huge game for the Commanders. And then De'Ami Brown also not practicing. They lose their deep shot. I know that De'Ami Brown's not anything we care about for fantasy, but that could definitely kind of hinder the offense as whole. But I would not be worried about Terry McLaurin. I'm sure he's going to play, but definitely monitor it over the coming days. So that'll do it for the injuries, which will be nice. Hopefully you guys aren't affected by any of those, and you have a fully healthy team heading into your championship. I'm going to play another ad break. I want to try to fix my camera here. So here's some information about Player Profiler.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free, and one of our key missions is to make as much statistics and information and deep analysis available on PlayerProfiler.com for free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In package to continue to make all this possible. If you can't do All In, that's okay. We have a draft kit. Or you can just subscribe to the player rankings. Those now include tight end premium FFPC ranks, our brand new data analysis package will blow your hair back. And of course, there's our Dynasty Deluxe and our DFS Dominator. Take a moment, check out our premium services to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.
Definitely check out Player Profiler. You can use the promo code Santa, even though Christmas is over, to get the all-in package for $25. Incredible tools to help you win your championship this week. Now, we have a game tonight again. I didn't want to do start to sits this week or today. I'll do it tomorrow. Just didn't have time getting prepped. This morning is Christmas does its thing, and just a lazy morning. I'm sure you guys feel that. But we do have a very fun game tonight, Seahawks-Bears. This is a game I've been excited for all season. This was one I attacked in underdog. I really liked the NFC West, NFC North teams just because they all play each other this week. We have Lions, 49ers. The Vikings are taking on the Packers. The Bears are taking on the Seahawks. The Rams are taking on the Cardinals. It was a very, very it was a fun build because those teams all ended up together on week 17. So this was one kind of sneaky, especially since I like Kenneth Walker and JSN so much. But either way, it has turned into a game that doesn't seem it'll be that high scoring at the end of the day. It is in Chicago during the winter, which, maybe should have thought about in advance. But Vegas is still expecting 42 points in this game. They are having the Seahawks as 4-point favorites. And I got to say, I think that Caleb Williams and the Bears win this game. I do. I think that they will at least cover the 4, but I think that they'll actually end up winning this game. I think that this is a really good matchup for the team in general, as we'll talk about in a second. And I'm going to go ahead and say that the 42-point total feels almost exactly right. So I'm not really going to recommend betting on the total tonight. I would just choose the Bears to win, if anything, just because I feel like this is going to be like a 21-20, a 23-20, a 18-24, like low-ish scoring mid-game. And so the 42-point total just feels too perfect to me. It really does. So I don't feel comfortable betting on it. But I do think that the Bears win this game. I think that they'll upset the Seahawks, and the Rams will find themselves in the playoffs this year. But Chicago versus the opposing positions, they are giving up the second least amount of points to opposing quarterbacks. So this is a tough matchup for Geno Smith. Tough matchup for the wide receivers, as well as they are giving up the sixth least amount of points to opposing wide receivers as well. Where the Seahawks will be able to find their gains is against the run, right? The Bears are giving up the fourth most points to opposing running backs, which is huge news for Zach Charbonnet. This should have been a great Kenneth Walker game, but this looks like it'll be a really, really good Zach Charbonnet game. And the tight ends. The Bears are pretty average against tight ends. They're giving up the 13th most points to the position and really have crumbled as of late against opposing tight ends. So it does seem that Noah Fant could be a fun streaming option this week. But for the most part, I really think that this is going to be a Zach Charbonnet game and a JSN game. I know this will be tough on Geno Smith, but I think in terms of the wide receivers that it'll be tough on, it'll be more so tough on DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. I think JSN, the way he's utilized, he's a bit more matchup proof. He's getting a ton of volume and he's utilized all over. So I'm not really concerned about JSN this week. I'm very excited about Zach Charbonnet. If you have him, you have to start him in any format. I think he could go off tonight. And I am using him, as we'll see in a second, for my DraftKings Showdown Captain Mode captain. On the other side of the ball, Seattle, their defense against the opposing positions, they're giving up the 15th most points to opposing quarterbacks, the 13th most points to opposing running backs, the 11th most points to opposing wide receivers, and 16th most points to opposing tight ends. So, as you can see, shockingly average against every single position, which I just think does line up well for Chicago. It does. As we saw last week, Caleb Williams really did look good. He threw for over 300 yards against that Lions team. And I think that his confidence really is growing. I think that Caleb Williams and the Bears will have a decent game tonight. I think the only player I'm truly concerned about, which we'll see how it goes, is either Rome Odunze or DJ Moore. As you'll see in a second, I feel like Keenan Allen, again, will have a great game. I think that connection really is starting to blossom. And like I said with JSN, just the way that Keenan Allen is utilized in this offense, it's a little bit all over to where I don't think he's going to be able to be like locked down or anything. I think he's going to be utilized pretty handsomely in this game. And I like Keenan Allen. I love Caleb Williams this week as well. I think that this is a really fun matchup for him. Shockingly average, which is, again, why I think that the Bears can and will win this game. The Seahawks are really starting to play a lot worse over the last few weeks. And the Bears are starting to play better. I think they're getting hot. And they'll play spoiler to the Seahawks this week. And the Bears win this thing off the heels of Caleb Williams and Keenan Allen. The Seahawks, though, get a great performance from Zach Charbonnet and JSN as well. So let's take a look. This is my DraftKings lineup, I believe. Yes. So I'm putting Zach Charbonnet as my captain, and then I have JSN, Keenan Allen, Caleb Williams. And then lastly, I put Jason Myers. The Bears give up a lot of they're 28th against kickers, so the fourth most points to opposing kickers. And then I put Roschon Johnson in. I just have a feeling. I have a feeling that somebody's going to get tackled on the one, and Roschon Johnson's going to get the touchdown. We'll see. It's tough to get that last spot, but I'm going to just bet on the random Roschon Johnson touchdown. I kind of feel it, too, in my heart and soul. So this is my little DraftKings lineup. Again, I always recommend doing these. They're free or 10 cents. That's all. I never do anything more than that. I always do the cheap ones just because I think it's fun. Sometimes I'll do the dollar entries, but there's a free entry. This one was free. There's always a 10 cent. And I just don't see why you wouldn't. It's always kind of fun just to put some extra stakes into a primetime game. And then this is my underdog ticket for tonight if you guys want to follow along. Again, I think that Keenan Allen has a decent game, so I'm taking over 62.5 receiving yards. Same for JSN, over 73.5. With no Kenneth Walker, I think Zach Charbonnet is going to be leaned on, so higher than 16.5 rushing attempts. Again, the Bears give up a decent amount of points to opposing kickers, so I do think that Jason Myers will find themselves getting a couple field goals, over 1.5 field goals made. And then Caleb Williams. I didn't know to go with the passing total, the passing touchdown, so I actually just went with fantasy points. I think he'll get more than 16.85 fantasy points. I think he'll get 17 to 18, 20, and cover that. So we'll see. This was $3 for $50. Again, guys, I'm not trying to have you break the bank. I just think it's fun to throw a little bit of money here. Shoot for the moon. See what could happen in this game. I like it a lot. Should be fun. Yeah. Yesterday's Christmas one, the Chiefs Steelers, I got 3 out of 4. The one we missed. Hollywood Brown higher than 17.5 longest reception. His longest reception was exactly 17 yards. Totally soul-crushing Christmas pick right there. But that is our Thursday Night Football preview. Again, I think the Bears will upset the Seahawks, and I do think it'll be right around 42 points. I'm not sure to say under, over, or not on that one. I'm not going to lie. I don't feel confident either way. I really think it's going to be right around that. I think Vegas did a good job. But I do think Caleb Williams will put the team on his back, look really good, and remind us all why we liked him so much as the 101. And just continue to build his confidence. And, yeah, it should be a fun game. Should be a fun game. Cool. So let's do some game picks. And then we'll answer some questions and get on out of here. As always, we have the Yahoo Pick'em League. And shout out, by the way, I believe Ryan Volts passed me, is currently in first place now by a couple points. I'm crumbling here at the end of the season. I'm falling apart with my picks. They're not working anymore. But here we go. Let me share my screen. Let's do it. So I picked the Chiefs, but I did think the Texans would win. I really did, or at least cover the 5.5. I'm really disappointed in that game. I'm not that one sucked. I was pissed at that game. Anyway, Seahawks, Chicago. Again, like I said, I think the Bears win this game. I think they upset them. I think that Caleb Williams, Keenan Allen look really good. I think on the Seattle side of the ball, I think Zach Charbonnet looks really good, and I think JSN also still continues looking pretty good. The Patriots hosting the Chargers. No spread is very interesting. There's no spread for a lot of these. I'm just going to give it to the Chargers. So I thought that the Chargers would be the team that are going to fall out of the playoffs, but it's looking like it's going to be the Broncos. The Bengals kind of control their own fate there, as we'll talk about in a second. So I think the Chargers do win this game against the Patriots. I think, again, like we've seen from the Patriots with Drake May, I think it's going to be close. I think Drake May is going to do just enough, whether it's in the regular game or in garbage time, to look good, get some fantasy points, and keep the game close. But the Chargers still win it. And hey, if J.K. Dobbins plays, I wouldn't be surprised if he actually looks pretty good against this Patriots team. Next, we have Cincinnati hosting the Denver Broncos, favored by 3. And yeah, again, the Bengals control their destiny here. They need to win out, and they need the Broncos to lose 2 games. Luckily, they play the Broncos here, and then I want to say the Broncos take on the Commanders or something the week after that. It really does seem the Chiefs. Okay, they do take on the Chiefs next week, and with them already locking down the 1 seed, maybe not. But we'll see. Either way, the Broncos have a tough next 2 games. Bengals, Chiefs. Bengals need them to lose both of those, and it starts here, right? So I think they do win it. I don't know if I have like a hot take for this one. Maybe Chase Brown. Chase Brown, 2 touchdowns or something like that. Otherwise, I feel like Jamar Chase, pretty pedestrian, meaning like 100 yards. Nothing too crazy, like no ceiling game from him. Joe Burrow, probably 250 yards and a couple touchdowns. Bo Nix should be awesome. I think Bo Nix will have a great game. This should be a really fun game. I guess I should say that. But I'm not sure if we really get into like massive ceiling games from anyone besides like Bo Nix maybe. But either way, Bengals win, control their destiny, really trying to get into the playoffs, and it starts here. Rams hosting the Cardinals. I think they got it. I think Cooper Kupp bounces back. I'll call that. I think Cooper Kupp goes for 100 yards in this game. I think the Rams do win it. And yeah, the Cardinals, I don't know what happened to them. They're one of the most disappointing teams to me this year. Again, as you remember, I did call the San Francisco 49ers fall off, but I said the Cardinals would win the West, and they've sucked, dude. They had every reason to be good this year, and they just haven't. They have a lot of things they need to change, and I think they will this offseason. But either way, the Rams win this game. I think Cooper Kupp bounces back in a big way. Yeah, Buffalo hosting the Jets, favored by 10. I think the Jets cover that. I think the Jets can cover that easily, even in Buffalo. I will say this should be a Josh Allen game. Josh Allen loves to just give it to the Jets, especially towards the end of the season. However, I will call Breece Hall. I think Breece Hall scores 2 touchdowns in this game and looks pretty damn good against the Buffalo Bills and is a big part of the Jets keeping this game close. New Orleans hosting the Raiders. I'm going to give it to the Raiders. I think Brock Bowers and Aiden O'Connell look pretty damn good. I just, New Orleans, I don't like them, FTS, but also just Spencer Rattler, I don't believe in. We saw how poor they looked against the Packers. Kendra Miller, not that good, apparently. Well, not that good with Spencer Rattler. It's just not a good offense with Spencer Rattler at the helm. Even with Chris Olave returning, I just don't think they're going to be able to do enough. I think the Raiders are a good team. Not a great team, but they're a good team. And I think that they'll be able to get it done in New Orleans. Colts heading to New York, favored by 7.5, and I'm going to call an upset here. I'm going to call a New York Giants upset. I think that the Giants will upset the Colts this week, leaving the door open for the Bengals to sneak into the playoffs, but I don't know why. I mean, this is just a gut feel, but I think that the Giants defense is going to give Anthony Richardson some fits. I think we're going to get an Anthony Richardson floor game, and that the Giants defense and the Giants in general pull off the upset. I think that, I don't know why I feel that. I look at this game all week and I keep just feeling like this is one the Giants can and will win for absolutely no reason at all. And we'll call, if there is no Tyrone Tracy, it'll be Devin Singletary. If Malik Neighbors does play, then it'll be him. But if not, I think they could get it done with Wan'Dale Robinson. There's just something about this game that screams Giants upset to me. Next, Eagles hosting the Cowboys. Looks like they were favored by 8, but with no Jalen Hurts, it's going to come down to Saquon Barkley. And they've taken away the total as they wait to see what's going to happen here. And I actually think the Cowboys can win this game. I think they would love to play spoiler. I know Saquon Barkley is going to have a monster performance, but I think CeeDee Lamb will as well. And I just think that the Cowboys can win this game, or at least keep it close. No spread is tough. If it was 8 points, I think they could definitely cover that 8 points. But I don't know. I think Kenny Pickett starting is terrifying news for the Eagles. I think he did fine last week. like quarterbacks do that, right? They'll come in relief and then do really well because the defense isn't ready. But I think the Cowboys actually preparing for Kenny Pickett will make it really, really tough on the Eagles. And Saquon Barkley should have a monster game, but I just think the Cowboys can keep up. We've seen Cooper Rush in that offense play pretty well this season without Dak Prescott. So I think the Cowboys win this one. Tampa Bay hosting the Panthers. This is one of the highest Vegas totals of the week. Should be a very fun game. For the sake of my Falcons, I'm going to say the Panthers pull off the upset. But I think it's going to actually, no, I think the Buccaneers win. I think the Buccaneers do win, especially with no spread. That's going to be tough to call. Yeah, the Buccaneers win this game, maybe by like a field goal. I do think it'll be very, very close. Yeah, we're calling the Chuba Hubbard game. Really everything. I think, as you'll see in a second, I actually put Bryce. This is the game I'm targeting for DFS. There's a lot of good value on the Panthers and the Buccaneers offense. Mike Evans, as we know, needs to have 100 yards this week. I think he will. I think we see a great Mike Evans game as usual this time of year, and especially against the Panthers. I think the Buccaneers do win this game off the heels of Mike Evans and Baker Mayfield. Should be really fun. I think you could start Bucky Irving, Jalen McMillan, Chuba Hubbard, Adam Thielen, Bryce Young this week. Should be a really, really fun game. Jacksonville hosting the Titans, favored by 1, and I'm going to give it to the Titans. Actually, no. Mac Jones is playing really fun right now. And when you're playing with confidence and having fun, you just play better. And I think that they can win this game at home, ending the year. And I think the Titans want to keep losing anyway. Mason Rudolph, of course, playing better, but it's a really hurt team. Jacksonville also pretty hurt, but Brian Thomas Jr. is just such a stud that I think that they could lean on him in this one and win this game. Go Jags. Browns hosting the Dolphins. Give me the Dolphins. And give me 200 yards by Devon Achane. Give me a Devon Achane monster performance. And then nothing from the Browns. I hate that the Browns bench Jameis Winston. We've talked about it so many times, but I really, really hate that decision. Vikings hosting the Packers, favored by 1.5. Give me the Packers. Give me the Packers in this game. They're doing a lot right now this time of year. And the Vikings have to lose at some point. I really think that. And I think this is a good game for that to happen. Justin Jefferson should have a good game. TJ Hawkinson should have a good game. On the Packers, it's just Jordan Love, right? I'm not sure which weapon it'll be, but Jordan Love for sure. And Josh Jacobs, even against a tough Minnesota Vikings defense, should still, I'm going to call only 1 touchdown for Josh Jacobs. Just one, but still fun. Commanders hosting the Falcons. Give me the Commanders again. I don't think the Falcons are making the playoffs. I think that everyone got very excited that they destroyed the Giants, but this is a real team, and I'm just not sure. I do think that they can keep up. I do think that this will be a shootout. I think this will be really fun. As we talked about in the waiver wire episode, I am fine streaming Michael Penix. I think that that's a fun matchup to do so. Good or a bad secondary, all that stuff, good weapons. Should be a really, really fun game. I just think the Commanders win it. Jaden Daniels should go off and lock down the offensive rookie of the year. And then the Lions heading to San Francisco, favored by 3.5. We'll give it to them. They're really wanting that number 1 seed in the NFC, and the 49ers suck now. We got to give it to the Lions. Look for Jahmyr Gibbs to keep his monster performances going. Those are our picks. We'll see if I win it. We'll see. Again, I got passed by a couple points. Yeah, it's Ryan. So shout out Ryan for being in first right now. We'll see how this ends. Those are the game picks. Before we get out of here, I do want to share my Sunday DraftKings lineup with you guys. Bryce Young at quarterback, Saquon and Breece Hall at running back, Mike Evans, Adam Thielen, Khalil Shakir at wide receiver, Chigakonkwo at tight end, Josh Downs at flex, and the Giants defense, as I like to choose a cheap defense, but also I just, Anthony Richardson can turn the ball over so many times that I think it's a fun one to take a chance on. So, pause for a second if you want to copy that. And let's answer some questions. Thank you all so much for tuning in. And I hope you all had a great little Christmas. Hope you're doing well in your championship matchup so far. Let's see. Start 1, Cooper Kupp, Jacoby Myers for Robert Ford. Give me Cooper Kupp. I think that Cooper Kupp bounces back this week. I know he's been very, very disappointing, but he's got to bounce back at some point, and I don't like Jerome. Well, Jerome Ford is probably the other. If you want to be safe, it's Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford for the floor, Cooper Kupp for the ceiling is going to be my answer here. But yeah, I don't have it in me to start Myers over Kupp. You have Jonathan Taylor, DeAndre Swift, Michael Carter, James Conner. Would you play Swift tonight? No, I think I would do, like, if you're choosing two, I would do Jonathan Taylor, Amir Abdullah, I think. DeAndre Swift has not looked good, and he's not really getting the pass work that he used to get this season. And it is looking like James Conner will play too, but I like Amir Abdullah even. He's getting a lot of work, a really fun option. Oh, thank you, Donald. I hope ESPN calls me. That'd be exciting. Cool. Well, that should do it. That is all the questions. Thank you all so much for tuning in. As always, seriously, you guys are the best. We'll be back tomorrow with the championship start sits episode, so make sure you tune into that. I think I'm going to try to do more than just one per position. I really want to try to help you guys out for the championship. Maybe more than 3 flex players or some streamers. I'm not sure how I'm going to go about it, but I do want it to be a little bit more than just the standard start sits. Should be fun, so make sure you hit that like button and make sure you subscribe and hit that bell to get notified when we go live. We'll be back here tomorrow with some more Wake and Take at 10 a.m. Eastern. You all have a terrific Thursday, a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.
Hey, I want to thank you for being part of this broadcast. If you have any thoughts on it, leave a comment. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like. And if you want to see more shows on the Player Profiler channel, subscribe to it. That's how we know you want more.